Okay, this is question 3. The question says, by showing your working clearly, explain. Okay, they want you to explain whether the curve will intersect the line. Okay, so if you remember your textbook question, your resource book question, most of the time they ask you whether the curve, for example this question okay, will intersect x-axis, or whether there's one solution, two solution, or whatever, or no solution, right? So for such questions where it is a curve, okay, intersect an x-axis, right, at how many points and all that it's very straightforward, because this is y equals to 5 plus 4x squared, right? This x-axis the equation is actually y equals to 0. Okay, so when you try and so-called find the discriminant for this it's just 4x squared plus 5, okay, equals to 0, and then you go and find your b squared minus 4ac equals to what, and then if it's greater than 0, then there's two real and distinct, right? Okay, if it's less than 0, then no real roots. Okay, if it's equal to 0, then two real and equal roots. Alright, so that was what we did, right? But now instead of giving you a curve and the x-axis, they give you a curve and a line. So for such a question, how do you proceed to solve this question? The whole idea is we need to remove the y. So like for this simple case where it's a curve and y equals 0, right, you actually sub this into here without you knowing without you knowing. So the whole idea is to get rid of the y. So I've written here some notes for you in red. The whole idea, right, is you call this curve equation 1, this line equation 2, or vice versa. Then you sub 1 into 2, okay? Then you make the right hand side equals to 0, so that you end up with an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So this is your a. This b is inclusive of this minus, so it's minus 3, and your c is this 3. Okay, then you go and find your b squared minus 4ac. Now you cannot say b squared minus 4ac less than 0 or greater than 0 or equal to 0 right from this first step. Cannot, because you don't know they actually ask you to explain whether. Okay, even if they say prove that this curve does not intersect, right, you cannot start off with does not intersect, so b squared minus 4ac less than 0. Cannot. For such questions, right, where you're asked to explain, you must at the beginning not assume that it's less than 0 or greater than 0 or equal to 0 first. Okay, some of you actually assume cannot. You have to just find b squared minus 4ac on its own, using this b is minus 3, right, a is 4, and c is 3. Then you press calculator and please you see I put the template here and I put brackets, right? Why? Because there are two of you who didn't put brackets. Later I'll show you the common mistake. You didn't put brackets, right? Then you end up with a different wrong value here. Okay, so what you do is you put bracket, then you press calculator using whatever brackets you have here. Your calculator will tell you it's minus 39. If you don't put brackets, right, I guarantee you in the exam you will make mistake. Okay, now after you have done this, you conclude that b squared minus 4ac, right, is less than 0. So since the discriminant is less than 0, the curve does not intersect the line. Okay, so graphically it will look like that it will look like this the curve here, right, happy face, right? Because this is a positive x square. Then the line will be below it, so they don't meet. Okay, so we can set a question like that whereby explain why the line, right, is always below, or explain why the line is below the curve. So if you're asked to explain why the line is below the curve, right, what you can do is you can prove that b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, so no intersection. And because the coefficient of x squared for this curve is positive, so the shape is like that, right? A happy face, so they will never intersect. Okay, yeah, all right. So that's all for this solution. Very straightforward. I think most of you simply copied my answer. So I would really recommend that you go and redo this so that you are very clear about this kind of question. This kind of question very important. Okay, so what is the mistake made by this student? This student, I think, don't know what's going on. Okay, this student sub in equation 1 into 2 already. Okay, so got rid of the y already, right? But then after that, okay, make it into ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, right? After that, the student thought that he or she is supposed to find x. No, this is not x. This is your discriminant b squared minus 4ac. So you should label here b squared minus 4ac like that. Okay, then you'll be correct. Now, next mistake, you see, quite a few of you assume right from the start that it's less than 0. No, you cannot assume. They ask you to explain whether it intersects the line or not. So you got to just find your b squared minus 4ac like what I have done here. Just find its value. After you have found the actual value, right, then you conclude that, oh, it's less than 0 or greater than 0 or equal to 0 lah. Equal to 0 is just you'll be equal to 0 here. Okay, so this is totally wrong. Okay, but yeah, okay, but I want to say something. If they ask you to explain why, okay, if they ask you to explain why the curve does not intersect, if they tell you to explain why the curve does not intersect, you also cannot say from the start that b squared minus 4ac less than 0. Cannot. You got to find your b squared minus 4ac like so. Okay, and then you get the b squared minus 4ac, right? Then you show that, oh yeah, it's less than 0. Then you say it does not intersect. So I hope we are very clear on this. Okay, next mistake is yeah, you cannot just straight away write like that without brackets. You see, because you didn't put brackets, right? That's why you couldn't get the correct answer. This is wrong. Okay, and although you made the so-called correct conclusion, because of your wrong working, right, cannot give you any marks. Alright, so you must put brackets and must write this. What does this represent? Now this is an explain question. Okay, Cambridge, they're very particular with explain question. You must really explain very clearly. So you must tell people what this represents. This represents your b squared minus 4ac, or you can write discriminant here. Okay, don't just write a d here. No, we do not accept. You must write b squared minus 4ac. I know your d is a short form for discriminant. No, you write b squared minus 4ac at least. Okay, now next mistake is, you see, you cannot, some of you don't know what is going on. You go and sub, and then y, you're not finding y, you're finding the discriminant b squared minus 4ac. B squared minus 4ac is this, which is less than 0. Then for explain questions, you cannot just show working, show, and then you never make any conclusion. You need to make some conclusion like so. Okay, last one already. Oh, sorry, that's all. Thank you.